Okay, I think we're live. We're there. Guys, we did it. We did it.
Did it.
Feels like
only
a success.
11 minutes. Only 11 minutes late.
Yeah.
How's everyone?
Good.
Great.
This is good that we're all on the call. It's been a while. We've had, I've always had maybe 3 or 2, but everybody's here this morning. That's good. Good to see.
Yeah.
Part of the timeout.
What have you guys been up to this week?
Yeah, Michael, you've been traveling, and you just got back from a good.
Yeah, I was away for the duration of last week here down in Las Vegas for our Real Rise conference, which I ran all day Tuesday, Wednesday, and I just took a bit of an extra day yesterday to lay by the pool, which is a nice treat. But the conference was really great. It had a lot of really interesting stuff for agents as far as what is consumer facing. I think that there is an interesting chat bot that will be customer facing that I think it's going to cut down response times for a lot of agents and help with booking showings and getting a lot of stuff, cutting out a lot of the back and forth that I think slows down the interaction between agents and customers sometimes. So as far as I can tell, that's not a lead generation thing. It's more of, if you're trying to communicate to your existing database of clients or customers, you go ahead and you can cut down response times. And then if you do happen to send something out and get a lot of responses, you're not needing to juggle 10 different conversations. That AI will help you streamline that. And then once it's at a point where we need to start, meeting face to face with some criteria that's been established, then the agent picks it up, having monitored the conversation up to that point as well. So again, just a nice tool, I think, for real agents to have going forward to help streamline the process a little bit.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. And again, a bunch of other stuff in the background, mostly for agents that, I don't know, I think for any other real estate agents out there who are considering making a change, you should just check out the website, join Real, and see what it's about, or give us a call. I think there's some stuff in there that's worthwhile for anyone considering.
Yeah. I have to say that just a little comment that Real is just building it out there with new additions and support for agents. And this is not a plug for Real, but I just, it's refreshing to see that all the time, that they're just, you think about it, and you go, I wonder if we could have this to support the work that we do and allow us to provide better service. And all of a sudden they've already thought about it, or they're already launching it or something. So really refreshing. Whereas some of the other brokers we've been involved with that we know of, well, that's been missing, I guess. So it really is refreshing.
Yeah, and when you, I don't mean to interject here, but when you guys mention Real, I mean, for the people who are listening and watching, that's Real Broker, which is our brokerage.
Yes.
Sometimes I think we make an assumption that like people know exactly what we're talking about, but
not always the case.
Yeah, it's exactly. And the conference that you were at, Mike Stante, was the Real Broker Rise conference. That's like kind of like a North America wide conference that was in Vegas.
That's right. And they did release tickets for next year's conference. They released 350 early bird tickets. I tried to buy some. I was not even able to get onto the page. As soon as they put the QR code up, the website was immediately overwhelmed, and people did get tickets, but the full 350 tickets were sold out in 4 minutes. So we are unfortunately going to be paying full price when the next tranche is released.
Yeah.
There was another announcement though I saw that you highlighted. What was that? I think we were something about number 2 team in Canada.
That's right. Yeah, I guess I have to go back and double check. So we were either number 2 or 3 or 5, depending on the category.
Mhm.
But for small team in Canada, by either I think volume or number of transactions, or
That's for the second quarter, is it? Just for that?
that's for
period?
that was for
That was for 2024.
2024.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, not to toot our own horn or
No, let's do it. Let's toot.
or be too self-aggrandizing. Yeah, we had a good year, and amongst Real Brokerage, which is I think 22,000 agents across North America. In Canada, we were among the top, so that was
That's
and
great.
the top teams. The top teams were good teams too. So I mean, it was just good competition, and we were right in there duking it out.
Hey.
Yeah.
Woot woot.
Yeah.
That's all good. Okay, what else do we want to cover this morning?
Dan, do you want to hit on the stats? Run through that.
Sure. I'll share my screen here really quickly. Just bear with me.
Talk a little bit about the market feels like it's picked up, so maybe you can give us some stats that back that up. But it sure feels like that anyway.
Yeah. Well, the stats don't quite say that. The sales are flat. If we look over here on the side, this is year over year, so we're not seeing a huge shift in sales. In fact, they were down in September and kind of flat in October. So the market's not. Maybe that's the change, is that instead of being 20% down, we're flat. So it's month over month, we're seeing a bit of a pickup. But active listings, there's still a lot of stuff out there, which is, I guess, we're kind of getting back to relatively normal levels, balanced levels of inventory, which is good to see. And so with strong sales, I think the market feels reasonably strong. So it's a good market. It's a reasonable time to buy. With the rate announcement this week, Bank of Canada dropping their prime rate 0.5 point. I think the future is good for people looking to buy. There's stuff to buy. Cost of borrowing is coming down, and you do have to weather a little bit of a higher price today than we saw last year. If you look at the average price, it's up 12 or 15%, depending on what metric you want to use. But it's a reasonable time to buy.
Yeah, I think I would note the change in the last couple of weeks, maybe month over month. If we have stats that were month over month, that might reflect better. I guess we have that here, don't we? Daily, weekly. Yeah. Anyway, I feel it. I feel it in just the number of calls that are coming in, the bit of activity. It just seems like people are kind of getting off the fence, and with the rate reduction, that seems to help a lot. I mean, it hasn't really played into, I think the mortgages that are out there, but it's as much about consumer sentiment as it is about anything. And when the consumer confidence, I guess, in stepping up and buying property. So when consumers see those kind of reductions, they are more apt to kind of jump in. And maybe that's what we're seeing. How do you guys feel about that?
I think as far as the... Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No. You finish your thought.
I was just going to say, in terms of it playing into the rates, the guidance we had from one of our mortgage brokers not long ago was that those reductions in the prime rate are going to be most immediately reflected in the variable rates. So if you're not going to see a 3.75% fixed 5-year term on a mortgage right now, but if you are okay with the uncertainty or the risk involved with the variable rate, you will get the benefit of a much more aggressive rate for the banks, and then you lock in when it gets down to wherever you're happy with on the fixed term rather than the fixed rate. So just something for folks to consider. I personally, for a long time, have liked the security of a fixed rate, but there was a time not long ago where I was on a variable and I was real happy with the rate I got for a good few years. So,
Yeah, I haven't been happy with my variable rate for the last several years.
well, yeah, no, over the last several years, it hasn't been super, but I think the long-term advice on any of the from any of the mortgage brokers is that over time you will almost always pay less on the variable, but it does involve absorbing some more risk.
Yeah, for sure.
Michael, you were gonna say?
I think the anticipation of further rate cuts is playing a bit with the market right now, where it is still keeping buyers on the sidelines a bit, and I think that as people wrap their head and get more comfortable with variable rates again, I think a lot of people really took a break from variable rates over the last couple of years. But it looks like it's the sound business decision, to kind of go with the variable rate right now if you were to make a purchase, because, probably by next March, by next May, rates will be lower and you will be in a better position. That's at least, kind of the guidance that we've been getting from the mortgage brokers that we speak with.
Michael, I know you're good pals with a mortgage broker out in Kelowna. Have you heard from him on what his prediction might be for further rate cuts? Or, I guess the question is, are the folks who are waiting for the next cut coming, is that misguided, or is it?
You know what? So what I've been reading, and what, so Lenny Ramponi is a good friend of mine. He's one of the owners of Ramponi Marsh Mortgages. And anyways, he believes that there will be further rate cuts. And also, looking, obviously, I don't want to just go off of one source. We're all kind of going, delving into multiple sources of information. There was, and I forget the group, RBC, and then there's one other group that is actually calling for even lower and more severe rate cuts than what is anticipated. So, they're wanting to see actually rates go down to 2% or less. And, in what time frame, I'm not sure, but I think right now the economy and GDP is starting to kind of stall out. And I think it's really important that the Bank of Canada is actually getting ahead of this.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're going to see at least another maybe 3/4 of a point, maybe a point.
Yeah.
Within the next year for sure. So, and that they're going to be pretty aggressive. That's good to see. I'm glad they're finally coming around.
Yeah. Which is for any buyers out there, in my opinion, as the rates come down, especially in Alberta right here, where I think we're out of sync with Ontario sometimes, and also BC a little bit in terms of the economic cycles.
I think the correct way to phrase that is that our government is out of sync with Western Canada. But I'll let you carry on.
Okay. Yeah, no, sounds good. I think that's for the political podcast that we.
Oh yeah, that's for that one.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I think actually now is actually a good time for a buyer to be looking at the market right now, because it has simmered down. The frenzy has simmered down. You're not competing so aggressively with people, and I think you can actually pick up some deals. And obviously listings are going up. So. And
really, to your point, Michael, and I quite seriously, it really was apolitical, because no matter what government is in power, the point actually is that Ottawa, the optics of Ottawa and the power, it really is focused in Eastern Canada. So you can, I really was in the back of my mind was we can actually take advantage of that, because when we're out of sync with the policies that they create in Eastern Canada to solve the problems of Eastern Canada, they can sometimes feed positively into the market out here. Like, for example, our market's actually good. And so they're dropping rates to remedy a stale market in Ontario, Toronto, which actually helps us here. So you can really get ahead of the curve by buying out in Alberta, at least. Maybe not in Vancouver, but in Alberta. So the point is, yeah, sometimes those policies are out of sync with the economy, and you can really take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Good recovery,
eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually, and I don't mean to interject with some, kind of a different direction, but and I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about this, but the CMHC and the federal government came out with kind of a new change, I guess, to allow homeowners, property owners to get a CMHC insured mortgage up to $2 million for the purposes of building another laneway house, a suite in the basement, a duplex, like kind of subdividing your property, and you can have that financed up to, in some cases, up to 90%, but the general rule would be up to 80% of the what would they call it? Like kind of the completion value. Essentially, they would assess what is the actual project scope, what will the end value of the project be, and which is actually quite a good incentive for existing homeowners to actually create, I don't know, like maybe a multi-generational family sort of suite or a revenue property beside them. And one of the caveats is that it cannot be turned into a short-term rental. Like any suite that you create, it cannot be used as a short-term rental. It's got to be used as actually long-term housing, which I can understand where they're going with that. So that's one program that's been introduced. That's I think that's interesting.
Michael. What do you think? Like, why? Maybe you could just elaborate on, why it's a good idea to not incent short-term rentals. What do you think is the rationale?
Well, I mean, I think it's a tool, so the governments, at all levels, they could just say, you know what, we're just kiboshing short-term rentals, period. But this is not the case here. Like across the board, just in our jurisdictions, you can't do it. That's one avenue that they could do. And the reason that they would do that, you saw it in BC, they're trying to create more long-term rental units for people. I think that's way too blunt of an instrument. I think it's ridiculous. And so it's sort of another tool to, I guess, in a sense, create a positive incentive to create long-term rental units in a certain sense. So I don't actually mind the proposal. It's far better and healthier than what BC did, where, I mean, I won't go into the restrictions that they put in on short-term rentals in BC, but it was like they took a sledgehammer to an issue, and really just like a bull in a china shop, just sort of. And I would say it partially led to Kelowna and the Okanagan's economy taking a nosedive this summer. And I mean, if you talk to people. Like regarding hotel rooms in Calgary, I think we are so short on hotel rooms in Calgary that it's going to take 7 or 10 years for the hotel industry to actually catch up. And I want to find that actual report. But I don't know. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. No. And yeah, it is reflected in the hotel prices around Calgary and Banff, and unprecedented. I mean, from what I recall, anyway.
Yeah, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now that you're talking about Airbnbs, maybe just mention a couple bits of news that have popped up recently. One, it seems like there's a court case with the CRA in Ontario, and what kind of that looks like. The CRA could treat sales on properties that have been used as Airbnb as commercial, and therefore GST or HST or whatever kind of sales tax would apply on the sale.
Yeah.
Therefore automatically sort of reducing your net value by, in Alberta, 5% or
5 to 13%. Yeah.
So, just something to be aware of for those of you operating Airbnbs. it's really not clear what that ruling was based on necessarily, but it seems to be a length of time that might be involved if you're renting it out for some amount of time as an Airbnb. And the other one that's interesting is Michael, or sorry, Sano, you sent this over, that you might not be able to claim expenses when operating an Airbnb as you would a traditional long-term rental. So just some tax headwinds again.
Yeah, and that second point, Daniel, sorry to interject, is actually focused on non-compliant. Like if we're operating an Airbnb in Drumheller, let's say, or wherever, and we're actually kind of like, under the radar, we're not actually fully compliant with the actual local bylaws.
Right.
That's when the federal government can step in and say, no, we're not going to allow any of these deductions for expenses.
I think it's reasonable if you're running a legitimate business, then you get legitimate business expenses.
Yeah.
If you are running a cash business that is skirting regulations and also skirting paying the tax, then no, you don't get to take advantage of the deductions.
Yeah.
That you don't get to double dip. Which, I mean, to me that sounds reasonable, but
what that brings to mind is that really, if you're using, let's say, if you have a home office, and you use it and you write off any portion of that, that you have to pay GST on it when you sell the property. Then nowadays, with the predominance of so many people using home offices, even if it's a bedroom, I guess if you don't write it off, then fine. But there may be an issue there with Revenue Canada when you go to sell it. I don't know that we've ever delved into it. Not that it's a topic that I enjoy delving into.
Yeah.
But something to think about.
Yeah, and coming back to like that GST, the potential for CRA to actually charge GST on the sale of a property that's been used as an Airbnb. I want to see more evidence that this is actually happening, because I saw one source in the Toronto Star about this, and I don't know. I think it's worth following up on, though, for sure, because that will have some implications, some negative implications.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, yeah. All of these things are tax related. Check with your accountant or your tax lawyer.
Yeah, it may be worthwhile for us to consider having an accountant on, which for any of you folks out there who are looking for a gripping, fun live stream, maybe tune in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
maybe we can host it at like 10 p.m. at night, just to help people go to sleep.
We love our accountant. Mom is an accountant. We love our accountants.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Anything else to cover? And maybe we'll make this kind of a short one this morning.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything.
Well, there's just one more thing. Actually, we have an interesting property listed for sale. It's I don't think normally we would go into promoting any listings, let alone one of our own. But this one's unique in that it has some real historic significance in Calgary. I don't know, Dad, if you want to speak to it, I'll maybe just share my screen and bring the listing up. But if you want to give us a bit of a preamble.
Well, this property, as we every time I drive by it, I always point it out as one of the nicest homes in Calgary, and I say that because it is one of the finest examples of arts and crafts, prairie style architecture in the city. It was, and we don't know. It could have been designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. The plans were. The rumor was that and we don't have proof, but they had ordered the plans from the School of Frank Lloyd Wright to be built in 1922, I believe I'm right. And it was, so it could have been designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, but the detailing in there is so accurate to his philosophy and the Prairie School architecture that you'd almost swear that it was. So it is one of the it is provincially and municipally designated as a heritage resource. So they, I guess, both institutions like kind of recognize it, the province and the city recognize it as distinctive in that sense.
Can you guys see the photos that I'm scrolling through?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but just a gorgeous home, and updated sensibly in the areas that it required to be, or that it should have been, like the bathrooms and the kitchens, but the rest of it kept immaculately original. The woodwork is spectacular. I think if you had to buy the woodwork in that house, you would not be able to source it today. You can't get these 20-foot long edge grain oak pieces of flooring. You can't get the edge grain oak wood for the wainscoting. It's just really a spectacular home.
It is fantastic. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to sit in open house on the first weekend that it was on the market a couple weeks ago, and it's beautiful. It's huge too. It's 2,500 square feet. The bedrooms are really big. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and what's even more impressive is that despite the size of the home, then you have an additional, I think about a 12-foot wide veranda out front, which is just a great place to have a coffee in the morning or or scotch in the afternoon. Just a beautiful, beautiful property. Very livable.
Yeah, there's that veranda.
Yeah,
it's enormous.
And like the brick and the sandstone around the veranda is just absolutely, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah. Hey, we're very, very proud to have it listed. It's still available. Surprisingly, still available. And if anybody wants to see it, give us a call. We're happy to show it. It's a house I love showing, as we all do. So.
Yeah, listed at $2 million, which, given the lot and the home and the location, is I think an eminently reasonable price. It is
a large lot too. 65.
It is a large lot. Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, very much for the urban or the urbanite, it is right in the heart of Mission and 17th Avenue. It has a great proximity to a lot of the great stuff going on down in that area.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up and reminding me. Good work, Michael and Daniel and Mike. I will.
Thanks, everyone. We'll I guess call it there. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
All the best, everyone.
See ya.